Greetings and welcome to Week 4, Chapter 3, Crisis Intervention. This week you do not have any assignments. This week your assignment is to answer the reflecting questions on page 50. And part of this assignment is by Wednesday you should have posted at least your answer to one of the three questions in the discussion board and discuss it with your classmates. And then by Sunday, you should have submitted all three answers in a rich text format or Word document in the tab for the assignments under either the Learning Module, Unit 1, Week 4, or under the Assignments tab. So this week we're going to start our process or our journey as we work through the counseling process, where we look at making contact, making meaning. We're going to look at all four of these areas of the crisis process. It's the change process is what it's called. We kind of got a glimpse of it last week when we looked at making contact, making meaning, managing emotions, and taking action. Today's lecture is going to talk specifically about making contact, and we're going to look at what does it mean when you're trying to establish contact with someone who's going through a crisis situation. What are the dynamics of trying to build rapport, to allow. And we're going to explore these issues today. Why would you think that contact should be made sooner rather than later? Well, there is a couple of ways to establish this. One way to look at this is that if a client is going through, or someone is going through a situation or crisis, and they begin to cope with the crisis without learning proper coping tools. For instance, if someone doesn't get proper counseling as a result of grief or grieving from the death of a loved one, and they turn to substances as their coping mechanism, then they've learned a ineffective coping mechanism to deal with grief. So the sooner contact is made, the better, because that way the person can be helped through the emotions of what they're dealing with, and that is why some of the barriers to making contact is there's multicultural barriers. There's also people who are in denial that they need help at all, substance abusers, alcoholics, wife abusers, people with aggression problems, people with eating disorders. There's so many different ways that people can be in a place where they don't even realize that they have a problem. Denial is when someone doesn't know they are in a actual, don't even know I am lying is the acronym for that, but they don't even realize that they've got something going on. And there are also barriers to being able or being open to just letting their problems be out, to be known about. There are some cultures and some groups of people that feel like that talking about family issues is taboo, and that the things should be dealt with within the family system. The social support, when you look at social support, when you look at the fact that there are places in society, different organizations, different havens and houses, and different social groups that are set up just to help people who are in a crisis situation. It's important to understand that Maslow has his hierarchy of needs, and in that hierarchy of needs, even higher up is the fact that we need interaction with other people. There's a therapeutic. It's a therapeutic whenever someone is able to interact with other people and to get positive feedback. The way that the textbook describes this on page 50 is, like most other species, humans appear to be hardwired to turn to others in times of threat. In particular, people in crisis have a profound need to quickly share their stories with others. It's therapeutic to be able to talk, to be able to process through what you're going through, and then to hear from someone else, maybe what their experiences are in dealing with that same issue. The benefit from this is that we can grow and learn through these experiences, and as the book has said so many times before, come out on the other side as a survivor. Excuse me. Human beings tend to survive and to thrive around social groups, and of course, even now with the formation of social networking through technology, it's still there's no replacement for that social interaction or that live one-on-one interaction with people. Smoking kills, but alienation from one's fellow humans is even more deadly. And in other words, lack or loss of contact from fellow human beings can greatly have an effect on someone. We have a need to share. We have a need to hear from others and to share our life experiences and the things we go through with others. There are a great deal of physical benefits from being around others. There's a sense of esteem that comes from our interaction with others. We feel better as humans. We actually have a place and a time where we can be motivated by our interactions with others. Think about when you've gotten good news or bad news. What do you do? Do you call someone and kind of get feedback for them, or just kind of unload what your feelings and emotions are? And think of others who may call you when they're going through a rough time or through some type of situation. When people come to us, why do we help? Is it our nature? Is it good for survival? The theory of being nurtured and what it leads to. Lazarus did some different research that showed where he would take and try and isolate his test subjects from outside contact, and it is in our nature for us to be around people and to receive love and to give love and to have that human interaction. The textbook says that the variety of different animals that have been researched as far as nature or nurture can be found that even in the animals that there's a point in time where there has to be a nurture that comes into play there. One example is the prairie voile, a small furry rodent. This variety of vole is monogamous. The female is particularly nurturing of her offspring. In contrast to some other types of voles, the prairie vole has a large number of receptor sites in its brain for oxytocin, a chemical that is sometimes referred to as the cuddle chemical. Voles that lack these receptors are indifferent to their offspring and are sexually promiscuous. Oxytocin is associated with social attachment and love in animals. So research has been shown that when that nurture is there, it's has to do with our chemical makeup to be able to attach to others and to have some type of interaction with them. There's the theory of attachment that's discussed in more detail in the book. We attach to others, kind of like imprinting. If you've read any of the Twilight books, you know what imprinting means. It's when someone meets that there's an actual emotional or spiritual bond, that bond is so strong that it can't be broken, that we're hardwired in how we interact with each other, and that's the research by Bowlby that discussed that, work of John Bowlby, and the attachment theory is discussed more on page 52. And then empathy. How do we develop empathy when we go through something? and we're able to build through it and grow through it. We develop into a place of acceptance of what we've gone through, and empathy is being able to see what someone else is going through and to feel for them, to be able to connect with them because you've been through that same thing. And then rapport. What is rapport? The definition in the book is rapport is derived from the French verb rapporter, which means to bring back or refer. Your attitude is a crucial element of establishing rapport with another person. And this is basic counseling skills. If you've taken either counseling theories and research techniques, the basic, even in group therapy, the basic counseling skill is rapport. Are you truly interested in what the person who's across the desk from you is saying? Forming a relationship is therapeutic. It allows you to see the client and it allows the client to be open and willing to opening up to you. It's important to understand that your body language, how you act, if you smile, if you're polite, all of those things affect how much you're going to get out of the client and how much the client is willing to share with you. The clients can read you. Is your attitude survivor or victim oriented? Do you see them as, do you pity them? Do you see them as lesser because of what they've been through? Or do you have compassion for them? Do you have empathy for them? Do you see the person who they may have come from and how they can be that and even more as a result of going through this situation? The application on page 54, it says, Frank and Franca identified 3 important conditions for successful counseling. 1, an emotionally charged, confiding relationship with a person who is offering to help. Number 2, a belief that the counselor can be trusted and is able to provide help. And number 3, a mutually agreed upon perspective that explains the client's concerns and a process for resolving these concerns. And then finally, for today's lecture, the tools to help you with making contact. If it is your specialty to do crisis intervention, make sure that the community or patients in your agency know who you are. And then finally, what you should be doing for your assignment for this week is on page 50. There are 3 lecture response questions, or I'm sorry, there are 3 reflecting questions. Read the story about Ralph and Brad, and after you read the story about the crisis situation on page 48 and 49 and at the top of 50, answer the 3 reflecting questions that are there. There are 3 questions. You should choose your response to one of those 3 questions and post it in the discussion board to discuss with your classmates. And then your individual responses should be turned in by Sunday in a Word or a rich text format under the assignment tab in Blackboard, not email. You should submit your assignment that the answers to the 3 questions on page 50 by Sunday. This concludes today's lecture. Keep in mind that where we are in this class is that next week we'll be working on managing emotions, chapter 5 lecture, reflecting questions on page 96 for next week. And then also at the end of the lecture for next week, I'll have a review for the exam, and I will have the instructions in the video lecture for next week on your paper assignment and emotions, understanding your own emotions assignment paper, which will be due the same week as your exam. When we get closer to the exam next week, is Valentine's Day on Monday, I'll have the lecture posted and I'll have a review on there. The exam will be on chapter 1, 2, 3, and 5, as well as on the handling a crisis intervention handout that we did in week 2. Please ask any questions you may have in the discussion board or email me any questions. I hope you have a great week. Thanks.